Hey guys, welcome back to our networking series on why your networking is not working and really how to get the results that you've always wanted. Well, today we're going to talk about something that is just a pet peeve of mine. And I know most of you out there roll your eyes when this happens, but yet we play this little game, we pretend that it's not happening when it's other people. But when we're on the end of it, it just drives us nuts. And this is the topic of follow-up. Now, when I was listening to the guy who gave his networking presentation, he always talked about being very firm and getting a follow-up and making sure you have a time to call and get an email to get. But this is the worst advice of everything he gave, arguably. I mean, there might be worse, but arguably it might be the worst advice he gave. Because what this really does is this puts you in an absolutely horrible spot. It lowers your value. And it is an absolute waste of your time. And I'll tell you why. You see, people of tremendously high value don't do this. I mean, it's just simply the case. If you meet somebody of tremendously high value, they do not sit here and try to set appointments with you. They just don't. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is they don't have to. Their schedule's booked. By doing nothing, they're already booked. Secondarily, they have a waiting list. I mean, they have people that want to work with them that can't do so yet. And third, this isn't even the pragmatic one. They're just not going to do it. It's beneath them. It's below them. They're just not going to do it. I mean, why would they do it? It doesn't make any sense. They have all the business they want. They're charging as much as they possibly want to charge. You know, them pursuing you to set up a time to talk to you or to help you, it's beneath them. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's totally true. And in any industry, you look at it. It doesn't have to be a celebrity or an athlete. You could take the top salesperson in your company or industry. And if you're in multi-level marketing, you could take the person who's all the way at the top of your upline, and it's the same thing. They're not going to waste their time. They just won't. So when you go into the networking event and you hear people that are giving you advice, telling you that you need to follow up with this person and set this process and set a time and this and that, it immediately communicates low value to them. But beyond that, there's some additional problems that I want to delineate for you. Number one, you're taking this one-on-one conversation with somebody, which is very personal, very in-depth, and it's a lot more meaningful, and you're turning it into an outbound call. You're basically taking the relationship from you and them talking in person to your inbox, or you and them talk in person to their voicemail or to their text message, and you're basically taking a major step backwards. Secondarily, it actually puts you in the position of chasing them, and it goes back to the example that I used with Jurassic Park. When they put, in the original movie that is, when they put the goat into the T-Rex pen, the T-Rex didn't want to eat it. Because he wasn't looking for dinner, he was looking for prey. He wanted something that would run. And it's no different. It's putting you in the position of predator and them in the position of prey. And subconsciously, both of you know it. And so what happens is you start chasing and they start running. You know, they're not exactly, the goat and the T-Rex aren't meeting for lunch one day. And so what happens is it puts you in that paradigm, and they just have this subconscious instinct, in a sense, to just, to not help out. There's no payoff for them. There's a payoff for you. You get to make the sale. There's an ego boost that you got this piece of business, that you succeeded in this way, but there's zero emotional payoff for them. And it's really important for you to understand that problem. Because if you don't, you're going to be doing this and be completely unaware of one of the most powerful factors that are keeping you from getting the sale. The third thing is that they're expecting it. I mean, how many networking events have you been at where somebody wants to set up an appointment to meet with you? You know in your mind that you've seen it 100 times, maybe 1,000 times even, but it's something that it's not exactly what you want to see. You're basically, somebody's turning themselves into a commodity. Well, when you're doing it with them, it's the same thing. And I'm going to show you, when we talk about really what to do, why this is really something that you should avoid at all costs. You see, when they're looking for somebody to buy from, in a sense, they're kind of kicking the tires of everybody. They're trying to figure out Who is the high value? Who is the person that provides them the biggest ego boost of anybody out there? The concept of whether or not they're going to pay a certain amount for what they buy is a completely different conversation, but they're looking to see who is different, who's the same, who's the commodity, who makes me feel special. And when you do what everybody else does, I can't say this strong enough. If you do what everybody else does, it's going to offer them proof. Unfortunately, in their eyes, because they initially liked you, it's going to offer them proof that you are the lower value person, that there's somebody that really is not going to serve as an ego boost for them, that they're going to be proud to have bought your product. It's really going to kind of turn them off to realize that you're just kind of no different than anybody else. And the proof of that, the easy proof of that, is that they've refused to buy from everybody else. So if you start acting like everybody else who they have not bought from, do you really expect that they're going to turn around and buy from you? It just doesn't make any sense. If you're going to do the same thing that everybody else does, they're going to treat you the same way. If you're going to do the same thing that you've always done, then you're going to not get any different results. So you have to do something different. And in order to get that sale, you have to do something different than the crowd, especially when the crowd is a group of people that has never gotten a sale from this individual person. And in essence, in the community, we call it a DLV. Now, we've talked about a DHV a lot, which is a display of higher value. But a DLV is the exact opposite. It's not that it's an absence of a DHV, but it is an overt act that proves to that person that you have a lower value. That by buying from you, they're not going to get something that makes them feel better. They're going to get something that makes them feel worse. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to get the car that I always really wanted, they're going to buy the beat up car that's worth $300. Why would somebody want to drive that car? They want to drive the car that makes them feel good. So when you put that DLV out there, and immediately you get, basically put in a position where they kind of, not say ashamed, but they're not getting an ego boost off it, but it actually sets their ego back, that they have to justify it. And really the part that's most problematic, the thing that I hate, is it sets you on a course to have to chase after people. And really there's three things that happen. One, it's a morale killer. It sucks. When you realize that you're chasing after people, it just sucks because nobody wants that. People want others chasing after them. They don't want to always be the one chasing after the other person. Two, it's a time waster. There's a million other things that you could be doing. Forget about business. You could be golfing, swimming, traveling, biking, whatever you want to do, but instead you're just chasing this person who's just not responding and doing what you want them to do in this process. But lastly, it's really, again, it's a DLV thing. It's lowering your value. You're wasting your time. You're not looking good. You're not doing the things that you really want to have. You're not making any money off of it. And it really lowers your value. And so the next person that you end up talking to, when your confidence is a little bit shaken, again, everything that you think has a physical manifestation, that's going to come out to the next person and it's going to sabotage your next business. And before long, you're in that vicious cycle where it just almost seems like you can't get out of it. And I think everybody watching this video understands what that's like. And if you're in that cycle right now, it sucks. I've been in there, it sucks. But what's awesome is that I'm going to show you the solutions on how to get out of it. Now the first thing, and we're going to build off this, is your value, in order to get the results that you want, your value has to be high enough that they seek you. One of my mentors once said, he said, if you're going to make $100,000, then your value to everybody that you serve has to be at least $100,000. If not, then you're not going to make $100,000. Truly what your value is what you put out into the world. So it's not about making money. Again, it's not about I want to make 6 figures or I want to make 7 figures. It's about how can I create a high enough value that that's a natural reciprocation from that initial criterion. I think that's really the key. If you're sitting here in a position where you're constantly chasing people, you have to break out of that. But I'm going to show you how to do that. And the key is, it's not about you calling them or initiating the process. And I cannot underscore this enough. Everything that I'm going to share with you after this is based off of this. They need to call you. That is an absolute must. It's what this entire negotiator's playbook is all about. For you to get the results that you want, you only have so many hours in the day, you have emotions, there's only so much of a physical and emotional and psychological bandwidth you have. They need to call you, period. And if that's not happening, you're going to severely limit the results you want to have. Now, if you're watching this and you're saying, well, I'm scared to kind of put it at a point where they're going to have to call me. Well, if you're fearful that they're not going to call you, well, you know what? You're right. They're not. But again, every feeling of your inner game, of that negative inner game that you have, is going to have a physical manifestation. That fear is going to translate out, and they're not going to call you. And it sucks. So it's bad news, and I'm not telling you anything that you haven't experienced before, but it's just the truth. And if nobody's told you that before, this is the moment where you really could sit down, hit pause on the video, and just let that soak in. It really had to be the case for me. It comes to that point where it's almost a game of chicken in a sense, where if you're the first person to give in, then it kind of shows that you're the beta as opposed to the alpha. But the alphas of the world will not call other people. They will have the person call them. It's really, really key. But the reason this isn't happening, and it's simple, and again, we're going to build off this, guys, is you're not setting up a strategy to do so. So it's not a matter of there's people out there that are inherently high value that have people call them back, and then there's people, like most of us, that don't. It's not like that. But more than anything, it's just a strategy. You need to set up a proven, well-worn strategy to get people to call you. I went from being the blue-collar guy where I just outworked everybody to being, in a sense, perceived lazy in a sense, but yet putting up numbers that were insane. I can tell you firsthand, I was not born an awesome salesperson. I wasn't. I just don't think I ever was. But once I applied a well-worn and proven strategy, the results immediately transformed. And it can happen to you. It's inevitable. And if you really want to learn more about the well-worn strategy on how to get them to call you, we really cover that a lot in the inner game part of our portal. So if you haven't signed up to be a member of our portal yet, you really need to get started. It's an absolutely crucial thing to cover. And if you haven't done that yet, I'm telling you, it's going to absolutely change how you look at things. Now, I have to warn you, there's a little bit of a trap here. So it's not as easy as just saying, okay, well, I need you to call me. When can you call me? And then basically all your time is free. You have to offer them narrow options. Now, there's a lot of people out there, and it very well might be you who's watching this, and you've been told to do something that is really, really harmful for your business. Especially if you're selling consultative services and you say, well, I will give you an hour free consultation. Well, what that communicates is they know that you're not the only person, they know that they're not the only person you've said it to. So if you're offering a free hour to them, you're offering a free hour to 20 other people. And if you're offering a free hour to 20 other people, your schedule is pretty empty. And if your schedule is empty, it means you don't have a lot of customers. And if you don't have a lot of customers, nobody's buying your stuff. And they're going to go with the crowd, and they're going to continue to be part of the group that doesn't buy your stuff. So if you're doing that, you have to stop immediately. I mean, immediately, cold turkey, methadone, no weaning off of it, cold turkey, just don't do it again. But you have to give them narrow options. Now, it doesn't mean that your schedule could totally, truly be empty, but telling them, look, okay, I can give you an appointment at 9 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, and then 11:30 the next day. Your schedule might be totally empty, but you're providing them narrow options. And by doing that, it really communicates a high value. You're really portraying somebody who's higher value, and in the end, you can call it faking it till you make it, but realistically, you're setting yourself up. You're training your own brain to have that type of mindset so that when you're communicating it out, it really, look, I'm only going to let that person sign up for one of these 3 times. And I can tell you it works great. I'm not going to tell you it works for everybody, but it really works better than 99% of the other things out there. But the key thing is this, is if that person isn't able to make those times, that's where the next step comes in. And it's really key. And this goes back to the mindset of what we talked about initially in an earlier episode, was you cannot be afraid to walk away. I mean, that is really crucial. And the word that you keep hearing a lot when we talk about all the adverse effects is fear. You cannot be afraid to walk away. If you're afraid to walk away and you offer them 3 time slots and they can't make it, and then you offer them another 3 time slots, then they know that there's not 3 or there's 6, there's probably 96, and your whole day is probably free. And again, it gets back to the same thing as those people that were offering hour-long free consultations. But you have to hold firm to it and not be afraid to walk away. But I know a lot of you guys are saying, okay, well, if I walk away, isn't that counterproductive? I mean, I'm not going to get the business. Well, that goes back to the OBM. It's not about defining success by whether they're a lead or they're a sale. If you're walking away and they know that there's a limited, this is what, they meet you and they know that this person only has 3 times that they're willing to meet with me, or they can meet with me, whatever it is, and you can't do it and they walk away, that is going to be a tremendous assessment of value. I mean, it's going to be a learning lesson at the very least. If they walk away and there's no emotional consequence for them, then that is a sign for you. That's an indication that you have not communicated your value high enough, which is okay. It just means that you need to ratchet that up a little bit. Go back to the lab a little bit, ratchet it up, and learn how to really just develop and spike attraction. And when you do that the next time, your results will be better. But it's really awesome when you get to that point, obviously when you have your attraction dialed up, when you give them 3 options, and they will change their schedule to make one of those. When they're doing something inconvenient to make your schedule, it's a confirmation of your value. Some marketing people call it a buying sign, but I like to just call it, it's proof of attraction. And it means that they truly are a qualified buyer. And at that point, you do want to reward them, not only with that spot, but if they're going to be doing things the way that you want them to do, you want to give them a reward. And then you kind of have this kind of trail of cookies that you leave for them, so that they know there's going to be, even subconsciously, they know there's going to be that reward for them waiting. And what's really cool about this too is it really builds value. How many times have you agreed to meet with somebody and they set a conditional homework assignment for you? It's not very often it happens, but when it does, I can tell you the first thing that I think is this person is different and better than everybody else. How amazing is it that every time that you have an additional meeting with the person, that person immediately thinks of you as different and better than everybody else. I mean, it's just awesome. There's no other way around it. So again, if you have to call somebody, I'm telling you, don't just say I'm going to call you at 11, call them at 11. Give them a homework assignment. Tell them that the submission before the deadline is a confirmation of the appointment. If it's in by then, I'll just type a reply to let you know it's confirmed, and if not, the appointment will be canceled. Again, it really sets scarcity in their mind, it builds value for you, and it really will help enhance your results. But if you're going to really truly transform your results and in a networking environment, really master the art of following up. And I hate the word follow up in the sense that most people use it, but enhancing the use of an additional appointment, you have to use the proven and well-worn methods of attraction to get your customer to call you. Not to call them, but to get them to actually start pursuing you. And when you do that, it's awesome, because then you can start calling the shots. You can start defining what you charge, how much you make, what you spend, how much time you spend on business, how much time you spend doing things that you like, have with your kids, going golfing, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to give you one tip here that's even better. If you think the idea of homework ended with the first one, the power of it is dramatically increased with the sale. So when somebody gets to a point where they're like, okay, I want to buy, most people, it's easy. It's just through a contract or some form that they have to fill in, they sign it, and the purchase is easy. And at that point, that's one of the things that launches buyer's remorse, because there's not a balance in value. It's so easy to sign for something, but yet they're getting something that they perceive as such tremendous value, but yet it's so easy to get it. And that just doesn't make any sense. Everything that's of tremendously high value runs in scarcity. The most valuable metals in the world are scarce. The most valuable jewels in the world are scarce, at least scarce to market at least. So what you do, it eliminates buyer's remorse, but what you do to really ramp up attraction and get them even more excited is there's homework involved. And so when they're wanting to buy from you, or they're about to buy from you, and the contract's being offered, pulling it back and making them do some additional homework. Again, the last thing you want to have is somebody who cancels their order, or somebody who isn't a wild advocate giving you tons of referrals. Your entire portfolio could be, zero refund rates, avid referrals, just making your life super easy. But you have to pull that back a little bit and make them prove their interest. And when they do that, that subconscious level is going to balance out the high value product, the high value individual, and they're going to have to work for it a little more. And once they do it up to your expectations, then both of you can feel good knowing that it's a good match. If not, there's always going to be that question there. But that's the difference in follow-up. You could do it the way that the mainstream people teach, or that guy that I just met the other day taught it, which is horrible, and it's going to set you up for failure and just uncertainty at the very least. Or you can do it the way that I'm teaching you, where I learned this in a pickup artist community, where you can really tap into the power of attraction, make things easy, take away the stress, build up your value, and then you can actually have the option of spending more time doing what you really want to do. And isn't that why we're here? I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.